welcome to our third posting to mark the countdown to our official anniversary on the 3rd of October. 10 years, 10 stories. This week, our focus is on the future and what the next 10 years may bring in terms of recruitment activity. And we're delighted to be joined by Andrew Wood from Cheshire, I believe, today, Chief Customer Officer at Willo. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Denise. Thanks for having me. Great to celebrate your 10 years. I can't believe it's like 5 years since we basically started working together as well, which is...
I know.
It's flown. It
really has. And as you say, we've been using Willo as the platform for our executive recruitment video applications for, 5.5 years, I think now, and our clients love it. So what advances do you think that we're going to see in the next 10 years in terms of video applications?
Yeah, what a great question. I think all of my answers are gonna link together here today, Denise, to be totally frank. But across 10 years, there's going to be so much change in the recruitment industry, which I think is probably going to be driven by a skill set change. We're on the edge of what many are calling, the next industrial revolution, which is going to be based on AI. So what are the skills that we're actually going to look for in the next 10 years? Who knows? The jobs that exist then, they probably don't exist now. And I think you can probably say that for a lot of things over time anyway. What I think will change from a video perspective or from a recruitment technology perspective is just much more sort of richer experiences. The fact that we can design and develop, custom assessments, all these different things. If you look at Google's latest VO3 AI model, I think the kind of videos, movies, that kind of stuff that they're already creating, just imagine that, but in a recruitment setting where you can actually deliver a completely virtual environment to assess somebody's actual skills as opposed to their experience. So I think it's going to be a really interesting 10 years ahead of us, and it's going to, in 2 years, it'll look way different to what it looks now, let alone 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as you say, I can't believe the difference that we've seen just in the 10 years that we've been Distinctive People, and prior to that, over the years recruiting, the changes, the different type of information that clients are looking for in order to make sure really that we're obviously making accurate assessments of candidates. We're doing it in a way that we can really bring out the best of people and get a real assessment of what they're going to look like, if you like, when they're in the work environment. I think following on from that, anyone that's seen your posts on social media knows that you don't like CVs either. So how can we remove CVs from the future of recruitment at all levels?
Yeah. It's a great question. And I think what's really interesting is across both of our recruiting careers, the CV is the one thing that has seemed to stay. Maybe it will outlive us all. I certainly hope it doesn't. But, it was developed in like the 1400s and it's still going. And it's absolutely crazy, really, because what does it tell you about somebody's ability to do the role that you're recruiting for? The reality is it doesn't. It tells you about somebody's experience, where they've worked in the past, their name, their location, all of these things that you can create a bias on. And what we really need to do to focus and remove the CV from the process is understand what are the potential skills that somebody needs to be successful and how do we identify those, not what is the comfort blanket of this person has 3 to 5 years experience. And we all know we've employed people in the past that have 3 to 5 years experience and turn out to be not right fit for the role that we're hiring for. Yeah. So firstly, it's got to change the attitude of hiring managers, of recruiters, and really focus on, well, what are the actual core skills? Is that skills? Is it behaviors, qualities, values? And how do we then understand that using a richer tool like video interviewing, like assessment centers, better face-to-face interviews, task-based assessments, psychometrics, whatever it may be, so that ultimately we can just move away from the CV altogether.
Absolutely. It's all about, as you say, measuring and assessing what people's potential are. And particularly as, in your first response, you talked about how roles will be changing, skill sets will be changing. If we're just constantly looking at what people have done, that's not really going to give us an indication of what they're going to be able to do when things look completely different.
Absolutely.
So coming back then to something else that you touched on at the beginning, and that's the role of AI. So what about the role of AI in recruitment? What have you seen and how do you think this will develop?
Yeah, great question. I think there's two sides to this coin. One is the kind of dystopian AI recruitment world where sadly candidates are just using AI to write resumes or CVs. They are using AI to answer questionnaires. They're using co-pilots in meetings, and the recruiters themselves are adding in AI at every stage to deal with that issue. And I think what's quite sad in that world is you're just going to end up with AI assessing AI if we don't stop the sort of removal of the human from this process. The other side of the coin, and where I think we'll end up through this kind of evolutionary process, is we will end up with AI automating, verifying, and speeding up ultimately the processes of human recruiters. So that's certainly what I hope anyway, is that we won't get down this kind of rabbit hole of having this dead recruiting space where it's just bots versus bots, and then you end up in a job and you're unqualified for it and capable of doing it. So yeah, I think AI should play the role of, like I say, automating simple tasks that mean you can connect with more humans directly. Secondly, I think there's a role to be played in verifying candidates through the process. And then, I think what I mentioned earlier about AI creating these wonderful task-based assessments and making things much more individual but at pace, rather than relying on a disk profile for everything. How do we create really customized psychometric profiles, for example?
Yeah, those are all really great points, Andrew. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time today, and we wish you and the Willo team continued success and really look forward to working with you moving forward. And thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, Denise. Congrats on your 10 years, and looking forward to seeing what the next 10 years holds.
Thank you.